Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network's YouTube channel. Become enlightened, have fun, and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can find us on Facebook and stay up to date on our Facebook group, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcast can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcast, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for podcasts, posts, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now and join the community. Subscribe today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be on this spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's weekly podcast series, The Weekly Seance. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Paul Meckes. If this is your first time tuning in, please click follow, subscribe, like, share, and comment. And also follow us wherever you listen to your podcast. Today, past lives and tarot readings. Today's guest has been a tarot reader and past life reader for over 35 years. She creates custom essential oil blends and flower essence based on the energies from the reading. She also facilitates archetypal embodiment workshops, both online and in person, helping people have a better relationship to their inner realms, their unique energy, and their special magic. Let's welcome to the show for the first time, Nikki Ojeda. Welcome, Nikki.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Meckes. I'm really happy to be here.
You are very, 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 very welcome and humbled to be in our presence today. So how did 35 years, that's a while. So you're a master.
Well, it's always an unfolding thing, but I have gone through phases, and I've recently evolved into a new level, and I'm feeling like I'm resonating with more people who are ready to do their healing a little deeper. So
Yeah. Now, how did this start? Did it start as a child? Did you feel?
I was 15. I was working in a wonderful witchy little herb shop, and the owner, who became a treasured mentor of mine, was she's the first person really who saw me for who I was, because I came from a rather yucky religious type of family.
Yeah.
Anyway, out of the blue one day, I just said, I'm into tarot cards. And she gifted me with the herbal tarot. So all at once, I was learning about herbs and essential oils and tarot and the symbology thereof. And it just wove together in my, learning of this knowledge. Plus, I know that I came in with the proclivity of knowing this, and I kind of picked up where I left off. But it did take a lot of work, a lot of training. It wasn't like, oh, here I am living the life of a mystic. It took me a long time to fully own it, actually, as well.
Yeah. Getting into that right energy, raising the vibration. And
I was really lucky to have like those people who were so welcoming and living that themselves. And it was like, wow, I finally have met some people who are like me. And when you're a teenager in general, that is quite a gift, but especially when it involves, things that are outside the norm, but are aligned with one's soul,
Yeah. And like they say, my dad always told me this is we become the energy we keep, or the energy that we surround ourselves with.
That's sure is true.
Yeah. Now with the past lives, how did you hone into working with past lives?
It did take even longer to own. The little voices say, "Who do you think you are? Who are you?" But I had my first past life memory when I was probably 5 years old. I remembered being in Egypt, and the cover of National Geographic had King Tut on it. And I was sifting through and started crying. My mom didn't understand. I was like, everything's broken. And I was like, remember when that was red and all this other stuff? Like, I was like literally feeling the lifetime that I had been there. I don't quite remember all the details now, but that was
Yeah.
one. And then I had another one where my mom was my sister and we were running down the hill holding hands. And, it was just sort of like discouraged. And then around the time, that I was messing with all the tarot cards and being in these wonderful circles of open people that started coming back, and being psychic in general. Not all readers are, but I am.
Yeah.
And just having the place to develop that. And then I had a group of friends, we had a collective past life memory. And so all those things eventually led to me just being able to hone in to that. And then later it evolved to the right life now for me to help the client will come forward, So
Yeah.
process.
Describe the archetypal embodiment workshops. What does that entail?
Oh, good. I'm so glad you asked.
Yeah.
So I believe that the unconscious is where the greatest potential for our transformation lies, and weaving that with our higher self and the different personal archetypes that we carry, the shadow and the persona, the higher self, the self, and then our what they call anima or animus, which is just, traits we don't have as fully developed within us. And by tapping into certain divine archetypes, we can, using these particular methods, that is using breath and movement and intention and touch and all of it together, depending on the archetype, we can get in there and using our imagination cubed, we can get in there and shift stuck energies, like from trauma and whatnot, or just to bring in certain energies. For example, I did a embody your artist archetype, and we tapped into how the vulnerability of Hephaestus being crippled and how that can be part of an artist's story. And then Apollo was the inspiring, this is like a moving meditational shamanic journey.
Yeah.
So go in there, and then it tapped into the muses. And it's just when I'm with the people, we sort of co-create the container, I guess you would have to say, because these energies are within us and they're sort of outside us as well, but they can help us bring dormant energies and gifts online, or sometimes they're distorted. Like if I were not owning the archetype of the mystic, it would certainly be coming forth in some way or another, and it would most likely be addict. And so we're upgrading the energies that are already there with the assistance of divine archetypes is the main way I like to do it. So it's a circle of co-creative energy.
I see there's been and there is a growing number of people starting to unlock themselves and reaching out to more psychics and mediums and seeking assistance, because we all go through traumas. It seems like we all go through a trauma in life, and something just triggers, and it's like, I need help. And it's not like an AA meeting or something like that. It's more like, let's go instead, and going to a shrink. People don't want to do that.
Right.
But have you noticed that there's a growing flux of people than normal?
Yes. Okay. So I've pretty much had to become a trauma-informed counselor, and it's stored in the body. And with my past life readings, we can get into the patterns that don't necessarily have a cause in this life. Sometimes they repeat in certain ways, but going to therapy is very helpful if talk therapy is the modality that will assist what you're going through. And it's usually a combination, and we're all different. That is the key right there. I respect how completely different we all are.
Yeah.
But the tarot and the past life readings, as I do them, are designed for people who want to go deep, and perhaps some other healing modalities, they help, but only to a certain point, because we have all this stuff. And I'm sure you've heard the term of spiritual bypassing, where it's like, oh, everything is transcendent and up here. And yes, that's very helpful. I love stillness meditation practices, but eventually we have to embody the wisdom that we glean. And the best way is uniting that through imagination, the unconscious, the everyday consciousness, and the higher consciousness. And we have to ask ourselves, we have to go deep. So it takes a little bravery, sometimes to want to see that in the first place. That is especially a past life reading. And with my tarot readings, I don't say, I'm telling you your future. I say this is a snapshot of the current trajectories and probabilities. And though some things are contracted to happen to you, or they're just going to happen, how certain things manifest is just a mandala of possibility, you know?
Yeah.
And so having that empowered insight can help us, be just a little bit more up here and yet here, and fully embodied soul making the decision, instead of just the fears that if we don't go in there and look at unconscious fears running the show. It's all about empowerment to me, because you can have all the most beautiful vision boards in the world. And that's great. And I'm all about that. But if you don't tend to the unconscious energies creating your patterns, those are going to affect your vision board more than any 1,000 affirmations will do. Although I still do those too.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're always guilty of hijacking our own magic. Keep telling ourselves, what if, or if only, or that's not going to happen. And that's a mind killer. It's a spirit killer, and living in fear.
Mm-hmm.
It just stops our own magic and helping us grow.
Right. And fear is a guide. Fear is a teacher. I suggest not suppressing it or denying it, but listening to it. We're not even told. Even the same with anxiety. Yes, seek to, alleviate debilitating things, but also, are you even listening to the message that your self, your soul, through your body, through your discomfort, could be trying to, show you where you could make an empowered shift, so they're guides.
Yeah.
To be respected.
And fear can definitely be, like you said, a trigger. It triggers us to listen, be like, whoa, hold on a second. Why am I afraid of this? What happened? Now, could that be part of a past life experience?
Absolutely, yes. And
repeating?
Really compassion for yourself wherever you're at on this path, because one of the biggest things is we have been taught to judge ourselves for having negative emotions, mental, psychological challenges, emotional, it's part of, our experience as a human. We have this mountain to climb, and everyone's is different. And so, like radical self-acceptance, it's like, I'm here to climb this mountain. It's like my responsibility. If I just jump to the top, I don't get the strengthening and the personal gnosis, which I'm big on. A book will tell you so much, but weaving all the things together so that you have personal gnosis of spirit within your being, and it's you, and it's more than you, and it's beyond words, beyond the mind, and all.
Yeah. Now, the custom essential oils and flower essences that you make based off of the readings, explain a little bit about that.
So, when I give readings to people, whether they do the optional blends or not, I'm always seeking to offer empowering practices and ways to shift this energy, And so going by usually archetypal shifts and the correspondences that can be found, both elemental, planetary, and just the vibration I get from knowing these plants so well. I create like a little mini mandala of archetypal energy that the person can tap into when they're doing their own energy work adjustments. And it's all about, exploration and being curious about how you're going to do your energy work, because we're all different. So it's like, once you get on the path, don't get off. And whether, the flower essence, they're designed to help shift hidden emotional patterns. And then essential oils, they're designed to be used aromatherapy, for the aroma purposes.
Yeah.
But they smell good most of the time, and sometimes they have other uses. They're good for your skin oft times, so but it's all about the energy.
Now, I noticed too that some of these essential oils, flowers, and stuff also trigger. It does to me, and it may not be something that I've ever smelled before, but when it's got that really, a divine scent, it triggers something in our glands that it's like, whoa, it unlocks something.
Totally. Like I have like 41 blends that I always have, also not just custom blends. And it's funny because one of my favorite ones, I named it after the fact they're all diluted, and I always mix them in such a way where certain ones might be obvious, but they become more than the sum of their parts and hard to guess. And my favorite one is called the Moors.
Oh,
And I just got such a feeling of being on the windswept moors. I've never been there in this life. And
yeah.
like even my friends were like, that's amazing, because the energy was just contained in that scent. And yes, our senses are even more, they have the potential to be developed. And the sense of smell is something that, I have a keen nose, very keen. It's a blessing and a curse, but it's way more of a blessing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can all develop that more if we choose to, or drawn to.
Yeah, especially with mediumship too. It's like sometimes I'll smell something. I'm like, okay, that's not supposed to be here. Like, where's that coming from? So
Yes, I've had some intense experiences where it's like, this was just one of my own personal journeys, and just so many flowers, and it was like I was having a hard time and really asking for help. It was almost like this beautiful energy of like an array of flowers was in the room, and it was like I almost get tears because it was so moving but hard to explain, but you could probably feel into how powerful something like that is.
yeah. So how can one harness the power of the archetypes to improve their life?
Okay, well, active imagination exercises, where you're going to be journaling and having this dialogue with different parts of yourself. Now, I'll give you more of just a fleshed out personal experience. So I have an archetype called the take no shit rebel that I had to develop in a very repressive family that would stamp out. They just, my essence was offensive, not that they didn't love me to the best of their ability, but it's just, the take no shit rebel helped me. Okay, helped me stand up for myself and be strong and do what I had to do. However, if I was still operating from take no shit rebel now, I wouldn't even be able to communicate and connect with people.
Yeah.
I would be online. So now it's a sacred rebel, and all aligned with my soul contracts, why I'm here, and it fulfills something for the collective. It's beyond me. So basically, by having the intention, to upgrade the energies that we possess without judging them, we're bringing them to ourselves. Instead of pushing them away, we're bringing those disparate parts of ourselves together. Say, thank you, I love you, you tried to help me, you did help me. But if I were to continue, this would become a maladaptive pattern. So I'm going to ask you to sit here next to ego, and spirit's in the driver's seat, and you're going to listen and observe. Protect me and guide me, but you don't run the show. Again, thank you. I love you. And I don't mean to make this sound easy, because it's a path of self-inquiry.
Yeah.
And once you get on the path, again, I'll say it, don't stop, because it's always a feeling of, 2 steps forward.
Hi, this is Marianne Kay from My Mystic Gems, and I create magical items for everyday life. My handcrafted items include wire-wrapped crystals and gemstones, beautiful bullets, which is part of my Peace project, steampunk jewelry and cosplay accessories, and retro and vintage items. I can do custom designs for birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, weddings, and costume affairs. Please visit my website at mymysticgems.com and also my Etsy website at mymysticgems.etsy.com.